Okay, everybody, we're going to call our meeting to order. The first thing is to call the roll call. All members are present with the exception of Manager Wynant with prior notice. And then we'll set the agenda. Anybody like to change or correct the agenda today?
President Preiner, staff would like to amend the agenda for new item 3, which would be the medical leave update.
Okay,
And also, I'll just note, I'd like permit coordinator Patrick to give an update right after the permits regarding Selinsky.
okay. Anybody else? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
President, I would move to accept the agenda as amended. Second.
Motion made and seconded. Oh. Everybody, please turn their thing and speak into your thing. Good. Okay, so we have a motion.
And second.
And a second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, the approval of the minutes.
Madam President, I move to approve the July 12th, 2021 workshop minutes.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And Madam President, I move to approve the July 14th, 2021 regular meeting minutes.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Consent agenda.
President Preiner, Board of Managers, staff have one application for your consideration today. I would like to point out two simple changes that I'd like to propose. On page 24 of the packet, give everyone a moment. Near the top, item number 5, to remove that item, it's not something that we typically require for, it's related to item number 4. It's typically required the attested copy when we have a stormwater maintenance declaration or something of that kind. So proposing to strike 5 there. And then the other item is on page 25 of the packet in the findings section. There's a number 3, this kind of just got weird with the formatting. Number 3 should start with wetlands. The words that have started there is the continuation of the stormwater section. So doing a little page breakdown to there, and then 3 would start with wetlands.
So the sentence, the applicant complied with Freeport requirements under Rule C is struck?
No, that should stay there, but it's part of the stormwater section.
Oh, it belongs up here.
So
Correct.
this would be,
This is 3.
yeah,
And this goes up here.
correct.
Any questions for Patrick on the permit? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
Madam President, I move to Cap Rock permit number 21-058.
With corrections?
Yeah, with corrections, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Madam President, second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Patrick?
Yeah, President Preiner, Board of Managers, and then a brief update here. I cannot recall which meeting we last took. The board took action for the Seletsky property in Blaine, but since that time, staff have been working with them. We've made some progress, and just this week we did receive application materials. So we're working with them to make sure that that's complete. We can start that process moving forward, review their proposal, and try to get the site into compliance.
That's good news. Any questions for Patrick on that? Hearing none, we'll go to open mic. Anybody in the audience like to speak today? If not, seeing none, that we're going to move on to items requiring board action. Nick?
Yes, President Preiner, Board of Managers, today before you is a joint powers agreement between Rice Creek and the DNR regarding JD2 Rice Lake and the monitoring and maintenance of the channel there of the system. The district granted the DNR petition to impound JD2 at Rice Lake in 2014. maintaining the open water channel to the weir, so it was the sole hydrologic control, was a condition of that order. After that, we were in a previous joint powers agreement with the DNR, looking at the system. We have mutual interests and an exchange of information under that. And the DNR has forgetting the term, Chris, the monitors, the water surface level, excuse me.
Yeah,
Transducers.
Transducers and data
Yeah.
loggers, yes.
Thank you. Transducers that will record the elevations of the water up and downstream, so that it's clear the weir is the sole control. That's DNR's effort, and they provide that information to us freely. The districts completed drone flight and such and provided that information to the DNR, and we've joined each other in a site visit, examining firsthand the channel. So with that, we're proposing another joint powers agreement. The other one closed without any indication to continue it. So you'll see in the packet the joint powers agreement starting on page 31, and then the exchange from the district sent a letter in October of 2020 after they came and gave us a presentation on the work out there. We had a few things we wanted to ask them, and DNR did respond to that. So I'll leave it at that and entertain any questions you may have.
Any questions for Nick? Okay, I'll have a motion, page 30. Oh, go ahead, Nick, if you had something.
Yep, I was just gonna say, we have a proposed motion at the bottom of page 30.
Madam President, I move to approve the joint powers agreement for monitoring and maintenance of the Rice Lake Outlet Channel and authorize the board president to execute the document.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Yes, Madam President, I don't know that I want to support this morning. This is a continuation of a very bad situation in which the Department of Natural Resources has been, in my opinion, used their authority to take people's properties along this lake. While the map is a great outline of the actual property they own and where the location of the weir structure is, by changing the outlet structure on the lake from the cattail bog that existed for decades and decades and decades to a steel structure that goes across the entire organic soil layers at the north end of the lake. They have then had the elevation from 918 to 920.4. They've been able to take many acres of property all around, and the JD2 branch 1, for example, that outlets is going to be continuously underwater when with that structure, because the upstream outlet for JD2, I believe, branch 1 is about 918 and some tenths, and that of course is well below the 920. The same's true with JD2 branch 2, parts of it at least, although JD2 hasn't been cleaned yet, and hopefully that'll be done soon. But I think that they've taken somewhere around 150 acres. I saw one study years ago at a minimum of 110. People have lost their drainage rights and have been flooded, and the Board of Managers here supported that. And I don't think that that's really what the Board of Managers should be doing, is supporting devaluing people's properties by flooding it. So that's I don't see at this time that voting for the continuation of this agreement would really help the situation any with being resolved. And that's to me just complying with the Department of Natural Resources and not necessarily respecting the property rights of the taxpayers.
Madam President,
Go ahead.
while I fully understand and respect Manager Waller's concern, as I understand this one, what we're trying to do is maintain our ability to maintain the ditch. And if failing to do that won't improve drainage, it will decrease drainage. This has nothing to do with whether that weir should be there at all or its height. It has to do with keeping the ditch clear, as I understand it.
Madam President,
Go ahead.
just for informational purposes, and I don't mean to begin a debate today, but the outlet for the Rice Lake was a cattail weir. I mean, a cattail mat, and that held the water in there at 918 for decades and decades. The bottom of the ditch was 916. The department intentionally destroyed that outlet structure with their cigarette machine or emulsified it. And so that caused, when the rest of the ditch was finished, we cleaned it for the lake to go down. And then the department could call the newspapers and say, "The district drained the lake, the evil people." And of course, that got into the duck hunting season and on and on. But that's why I say that this was the purpose of this agreement here, to keep the channel open, is really not the way that was designed or that it functioned before. It was designed so that the cattails acted as the weir structure there. And so by poisoning them with in this natural lake with herbicide, it kind of defeats the purpose of it. If you were providing from the district's point of view, in my opinion. But if you're in the recreation business, as the DNR is, then it's a good idea. We're looking like we're doing something for everyone as we permanently flood their properties and cause that. And it creates a wonderful habitat for narrow-leaf cattails, as we observed a few weeks ago on Goodview Avenue, which is an invasive species, but that's that. But I feel that there should be some official record about this particular situation, and that's why I will vote against it today.
Nick, you have a comment? Oh, I'm sorry.
Well, may I ask a question on this, just
Sure.
a history question? This was the height that it was set at when we had the impoundment hearing, wasn't it?
That's correct.
Okay, that's just all I wanted to know. Thank you.
And I just,
President,
oh, go ahead.
noting the district's record, et cetera, yes, in 2014, or just prior to it, DNR did petition the district for a weir structure. And the district went through its due diligence on the petition, public hearing, et cetera, and the district did approve that impoundment. And it was investigated, and the public provided, the right to comment about their property rights and so on and so forth. And I'm sure our engineer did due diligence in reviewing the type of structure that was intended, so on and so forth. Manager Bradley is correct. It's about keeping it clear, and that was the channel clear, open water, so that weir was the sole control. And so the way it's worded in the order looks for the DNR to cooperate so that we can have the necessary permits and so on to ensure that takes place, and hence this document.
And I also want to just bring to everybody's attention that I did write a letter or send a letter, and you can see in your packet the response that we did say that there are concerns from the landowners, and we're not going away from that. We believe in that, and but you can see by the response they're not going to address any further on that. So just wanted to let everybody know. So with that,
And
we'll.
Madam President, I thank you for writing that letter, and I recognize the department's ignoring your letter, actually, as a politely,
Exactly.
politely
Saying it.
writing back, but it was ignoring it.
Yeah.
And so, and I think that somewhere along the line in the future, this is something that'll have to be re-examined and taken a look at. And but that, I still want to make sure that those objections to this is strongly heard in this record today. So,
May I say one last thing?
Go ahead.
I do agree with Manager Waller. If this is happening, but we did do an impoundment hearing, and we did pay damages to people, I think already, that had issues. And if I'm missing something, I'm still with you on that, if there's people's property, but we did do, didn't we? I thought
Madam
we did an
President, we
impoundment
did
hearing.
have an impoundment hearing. I don't believe anyone was paid any damages. I will say that, yes, we could describe the impoundment hearing as a perfectly legal process. However, that doesn't necessarily mean it solved the situation. And but we'll leave it at that. I think we've had a good discussion this morning about it, and I look forward to going forward.
Okay, we do
So
need a motion.
I'll
and-
call the question.
Okay, we have the motion, please. Page 30.
Oh, man, it can't be page 30 here.
You have the motion and you have the second. Yes.
I thought you were going to discuss it first. I'm sorry.
No.
Motion and second.
I called
We're
the
going to do a
question.
roll call. Yes. Manager Waller?
No.
Manager Wynant, absent. Manager Bradley?
Yes.
Manager Wakeman?
Yes.
And Manager Priner, yes. Motion passes. I'm sorry, I had that, John, I thought you were talking before we got our thing.
No.
That's fine.
We're fine. We're doing good.
All right,
Bradley made the motion and Wagaman seconded.
very good. Okay, let's go on to the next one. City of Roseville. There he is.
Okay, Madam President, members of the board, we're here today for your consideration of another reimbursement to the city of Roseville for the Ramsey County Ditch 4 Basic Water Management Project. They've been working with Meyer Contracting. I believe all of the pipe is in place, and they're working on backfilling that area and continuing with the construction work between County Road C and Terrace Drive. So it's great that the ditch itself is buttoned up at this point. We have received our first half 2021 Water Management District collections from Ramsey County, and pursuant to our agreement with the city of Roseville, those funds are to be transferred to the city. And that amounts to $102,598.63. So our recommendation is that the board direct staff to issue that payment to the city of Roseville. We also have, we've collected one of our right-of-way charges from the city of Arden Hills in the amount of $241.52. So combined, that comes to $102,840.15. That would be transferred to Roseville. To date, as you'll recall, we've also provided one half of our ad valorem reimbursement to the city, $320,000 previously. So that brings our total contribution to date up to $422,840.15. We will be doing a final reconciliation of the costs incurred by the city at the conclusion of the project, at which time we will make the final ad valorem contribution, and the remaining WMD collections will be transferred to the city as they're received over the next 2.5 years. With that, any questions I'd be happy to take?
Any
Otherwise, we have a
questions?
proposed motion for you.
Any questions for Kyle? If not, I'll have a motion.
Madam President, I move to direct staff to issue a payment to the city of Roseville in the amount of $102,840.15, representing the balance of Ramsey County Ditch 4 Water Management District revenues received to date. I guess that's it, received to date.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, Kyle. Okay, number 3. Nick?
Yes, President Priner, Board of Managers, the next item on, we added to the agenda is the medical leave update On July 26th, late in the day, I did send an email with a staff memo to inform you of the situation, and I did follow up on the 27th with another email with a little bit more detail there. This is subject to privacy, and so I will just note there is a motion on the bottom of that memo that I provided to you, and any discussion you might want to have about that, maybe we should be careful and have some guidance from council if needed.
Okay. We need a motion, please.
I have to find a motion.
Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
have it.
The motion is, oh, it's on here.
Oh, here. Madam President, I move to approve engagement of an independent medical assessment pursuant to the terms of the Administrator's Memorandum of July 23rd, 2021.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Madam President, we're restricted to talk about details here, so I'll just tell you, I will not support this.
Okay.
I'm, call my suspicions or paranoia, but he was authorized to come back by his doctor 2 months ago. And I don't see that should have happened, in my opinion. And
Madam President, it is my understanding that all the doctor did was to advise us of his condition, of the employee's condition, and didn't authorize him to do anything, but provided us with a basis in which we could make a decision. And it's my understanding that staff, as at this point, with assistance of, I think, the president and Manager Wynant, saying that they need additional information to make a decision. And I don't have a basis to think they're wrong for wanting more information.
And I have to say that we did employ Erica Selena, and she's the one working on our job descriptions, and she sat at the table with the conversation, and she suggested that, you know, we need to take one more step also, so. I feel comfortable with that, and time-wise, it's just fine. We haven't lost any time. So we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
well, Madam President, I don't feel comfortable with it.
Okay.
I understand, but my interpretation of reading that earlier letter on May was that he was authorized to return to work, and they suggested a couple of days working from home, which is not uncommon for what we're doing under this situation here. And I look at this, and I just see a number of steps, and those steps don't look like a positive step for bringing him back to being the drainage inspector.
Okay, we're going to call the vote. Manager Waller?
No.
Manager Bradley?
Yes?
Manager Wagman?
Yes.
Manager Wynant is absent, and Manager Priner, yes. Motion passes.
I think we're check register.
Yep, check register is next.
Madam President, I move to approve the check register dated July 28th, 2021, in the amount of $442,101.91, prepared by Redpath and Company.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Okay, items for discussion. Kyle?
I'm here to just provide you with kind of an informational update. Hopefully everybody can see this well enough. As you'll recall, the board appointed Matt Koshin and myself to serve on the TCAP Restoration Advisory Board a few months back. And there have been a couple of meetings. They meet roughly quarterly. And the most recent meeting was, that I attended was very interesting, and I would like to share some of the information that the Army provided related to Round Lake, which is in our watershed. As you'll know, our main purpose for being involved in this Restoration Advisory Board is simply that, as a local government unit that has an interest in Round Lake in the area. We are not the lead agency in any regard related to the contamination that exists at Round Lake. It's entirely owned by in this case, the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service now has taken over the property back in the 70s. But there's contamination there from operations at the Army plant going back to the time of World War II. So we're there just to provide input and kind of monitor it as it might relate to our activities and our jurisdiction, if there is any. They're at a point where they have a preferred alternative for remedial action at Round Lake to clean the lake up. So I just wanted to share some of that information with you that we learned. Here, as you can see, there were a number of, they talked about some of the ways that the contamination reached the lake. There's PCBs and 7 different heavy metals that have been found in Round Lake that are considered hazardous to, in this case, mostly the benthic macroinvertebrates and waterfowl that eat them is kind of the vector. They found it to be a very low risk or minimal risk to human health at this time. And there's storm sewer discharges, there was a sanitary sewer overflow pipe, which is still in existence today, although there's no connection to it upstream. But a variety of ways that these materials got to Round Lake. Some of the maps they shared here, the darker blue areas in the lake, again, mostly concentrated in the northern portions of the lake, are where those contaminants are located in the lake bed. For the most part, they're all within the upper 2 feet of sediment in the lake. They've done a very thorough series of borings out there looking and testing over the preceding decades to identify where all this material is so that they could make assessments to see what they want to do to clean it up. But again, so mostly in the upper foot, but down to 2 feet deep. We did learn some things about the lake, because we know very little about it because it's been under federal control for so long. Round Lake is 22 feet deep, so it is a pretty interesting water body in our watershed that, again, we're in time, as we gain access to it, would hope to learn a lot more about. But to clean it up, they've worked with, again, PCA and the EPA, which are kind of the lead regulatory agencies on this, and they've established basically what they call a remedial action objective. So they've looked at all these areas where the contamination is and what levels they need to reduce it down to. It's very technical stuff, which we didn't go into a whole lot of detail in during the meeting. Suffice it to say, the areas that are in blue there and then outlined in red on the map are the areas that they are looking to remove sediment from the lake, contaminated sediment. So it is fairly widespread, and that material will need to be cleaned up. They had a variety of criteria that they looked at to evaluate a variety of remedial alternatives, which I'm not going to go through all of them. But just looking at different aspects of a process here that would lead to cleaning the lake up and trying to decide which is best. This chart here shows essentially how they evaluated those alternatives against the criteria. Across the top row, you'll see alternatives 4A through 9. 4A and 4B involved strictly removing the material from the lake completely, and then the remaining alternatives involved capping the material in the lake or consolidating it and burying it either deep in the lake or in like a containment area on the property. At the end of the day, neither the state of Minnesota or the Fish and Wildlife Service were accepting of any of those cap and cover or containment type alternatives. So alternative 4A and 4B, which both were removing the material, were the only ones found to be technically feasible. 4A is the preferred alternative, and that is removal of the material for off-site dewatering and then disposal to landfill. They've estimated about 82,000 cubic yards of sediment will need to be removed from the lake, which is not a small undertaking, and particularly at that depth. So they're looking at a hydraulic dredging operation potentially. 4B, alternative 4B, just for reference, was to remove the material and dispose of it on-site at TCAP in a contained area. They dismissed that alternative due to long-term monitoring and other concerns with that property. So landfill was found to be the best place for it. So the process of the detail of this would be determined in a later design phase. But in a concept, they would be hydraulically dredging the material from the lake, removing it and pumping it in a slurry up to this facility they call the Ben Franklin area at TCAP for a contained dewatering operation. The water that drains from that material would be tested to be clean or treated to be cleaned if needed, and then either discharged to a sanitary sewer or back to Round Lake. So there's still some options there that they'll have to sort out how they want to do that. But again, the sediment that contains the contamination would be disposed of at a landfill. Green bar there is the interesting number here as well. Total cost is estimated at over $23 million to complete this activity. So it's, and this is the most expensive of all the alternatives, but still found to be the one that they would be pursuing. There's a variety of questions they'll still need to answer as it moves forward regarding access to the site, where all these things are going to, where the activities will take place. Time frame right now, they're looking at, 2 to 4, maybe 5 years to complete this work. So it's a long way to go yet, and certainly more information to be provided. And, as a part of the Restoration Board, we'll continue to monitor that and report back. There is an open comment period right now through August 13th. I will report there were a variety of citizens. I think there were probably 40 people at that meeting asking questions of the Army and the Fish and Wildlife Service. It was very, very interesting. And Rice Creek staff, Matt and I, are putting together some comments related to our minimal role in this case, but regulatory implications for wherever they're building these dewatering facilities and access. So we may have a role to review those plans at that time, as well as what happens to the water as it dewaters. Where do they send that? That property or that location on TCAP actually kind of drains to about 3 or 4 different water bodies potentially. So we'd like to see more information about that. A variety of concerns about the hydraulic dredging aspects, things like that. I will note, which was not in the slides here, but Fish and Wildlife Service gave a verbal presentation at the end talking about some of their plans for what to do with this property post remediation. And they do have a website. I don't have the link on hand right now, but there is some information out there that they've published about what they plan to do. It's considered part of I think the Minnesota Valley National Wildlife Refuge, and they do intend to open the property to the public after the remediation is confirmed to be complete. There's a variety of wildlife that inhabit the area, so they intend to focus on that, open up with maybe a perimeter trail of some kind for people to use for recreation, as well as a fishing pier, and open it up for non-motorized watercraft use for paddling, kayaking, things like that. So, they've got a plan. I think it could be a great resource for the community and a good success story for a Superfund cleanup site once they're done. So it's very interesting, and like I said, we'll continue to monitor that as it moves along. But that's all I have for you, other than any questions you may have.
Do you know what species of fish they have in there?
I haven't seen
3
any.
eyes.
Two tails.
Yeah, I don't know about that, and I don't know I haven't seen any fishery surveys, again.
I know they're probably not safe now, but at some point in the future, I'm just curious.
Yeah, that was a question posed by one of the residents, who I think lives near the lake there along the east shore of it, is that when would there be information provided about the safety of, ingesting any of the fish that may be caught from the lake? Fish and Wildlife Service will defer to DNR on that once the lake is open for access by locals, state government, et cetera. DNR has a process for establishing fish consumption guidelines, and I would imagine they will go through that process. But
Thank you.
Kyle, good morning. And Are those 22-foot holes in that lake pretty widespread? Is that, or is it just one or two spots? And the reason I ask this is because if they're going to dredge 2 feet out of there, maybe it's 24 foot then, and would that improve the depth of the lake for survivability of fish?
Yeah, Manager Waller, I do not know. I have not seen a bathymetric map of the lake.
Okay.
I just know that it was reported at the meeting that the lake was a lot deeper than we thought it was. But there is no plan to replace sediment, so whatever is removed will be removed, and that's it. So the lake in places will be anywhere from 1/2 a foot to 2 feet deeper, depending on the depth of dredging.
Any other questions? Thank you, Kyle.
Thank you.
I'm glad you're attending, that's good.
Yeah, it's very interesting.
Yeah. Okay, the next thing is the staff reports. Anybody have any questions on any of the staff reports today? Anybody? And we'll look at our calendar next on page 86.
President Priner?
Go ahead.
Just a note on your calendar, the August 11th Citizen Advisory Committee, I believe also in your packet was a memo from Beth, Communications and Outreach, regarding that meeting, and you're invited to the tour. It has been posted if you'd like to attend. It looks to be a good event and seeing some of the district's partnerships and accomplishments.
Very good.
So, Madam President, we didn't receive a map as to where the park is, how to get there. You have a little direction here?
Sure, we'll create a map and get it out to you.
Okay.
And Madam President, on our page 86, it says August 11th is Monday, but I believe it is a Wednesday. Yeah, that would be
It's
Wednesday.
the next board
That'd be
meeting.
That'd be a Wednesday.
Yeah, it's the
Wednesday.
next board meeting.
Yep. Okay, anything else on that? If not, we go to administrator, go ahead.
Just for clarity for Manager Bradley, could you tell me where did you see that? I want to make sure we,
Certainly, it's on the memo, page 86.
got it. Yep. Yeah, second item. Thank you much.
Okay, go ahead, Nick. Administrator's update.
Yes, President Priner, Board of Managers, just a couple of things to note. The vehicles are back at the district. You may remember, back in January of this year, we did move them to off-site secured fence. Staff are moving back into the office. Those are being utilized. So we'll get all the vehicles back, so they're available and handy for those activities. We are looking a little bit into long-term. Hopefully, we don't have another unfortunate event with those vehicles. So we'll monitor as best we can, obviously, the public's expenditure into our vehicles, but we'll see.
How much damage did we actually have, Nick, in general?
Yeah, I'm gonna say a couple $1,000. Yeah. But the repeated nature of it, I guess, is
Yeah.
what causes me to think we might need a long-term solution, and that
Yeah.
did occur in the winter months, shorter days, maybe a little bit more desolate kind of
yeah.
situation, yes.
Madam President,
Go ahead.
Nick, didn't we have a break-in to the garage also?
We did indeed. Along that same timeline, we are finishing up with the insurance company. Just yesterday, we had a meeting of staff on the remaining items that had yet to be replaced or considered whether or not we would replace them. So Teresa gathered everyone and we had a good discussion about that. We look to finish that out too.
Okay.
So office transition is going well. The district posted the public drainage inspector and drainage and facilities coordinator position. And I noted the invite to the CAC meeting. That's my update.
Okay, any questions for, oh, go ahead.
You want to mention the August 25th public hearing at 6:30?
Yeah, that is, oh, yeah.
Yep.
We should say that.
So on your calendar, Teresa's noting page 86, the bottom item, the public hearing of August 25th is an evening meeting.
And it is at the city of Circle Pines.
Circle Pines Chambers, okay. Okay, thank you, Teresa. Anything else? Manager's update. Manager Bradley,
I have nothing.
Manager Wageman.
I do have something today pertaining to the 10/22/32 issue that we've been looking into. One of the residents, Perry Wagaman, my dad, actually, he put together some information that he had that he thought might be informative, and he sent it to me, and I wanted to present it to Nick on the record. His intention was, if it can save you some time and money, if there's anything in there that's useful. And he also said that he does have more of the same type of information. If it does turn out to be useful or can save you any time and effort at all, he's more than happy to submit anything else that can help. So I just wanted to turn this over to you to,
Yes,
Go ahead.
President Preiner, Manager Wegman, happy to accept any information. That is the district's intent. We have yet to post the open 30-day period to receive materials, but I don't think that's any flaw to us taking the information now and supplying it to staff and engineers and the other managers to see what we have. That is the district's intent, to get all the information to provide to the board a position of being well informed about it.
okay, well, I'll make sure that you receive
And
this.
it'll be
Yes.
distributed to the board members.
Yeah.
so
Yes.
That's good.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you.
Okay, Manager Waller.
Thank you, Madam President. I attended the MOD summer meeting. I went over to the office and sat down and watched that. And I took a page out of Manager Wynant's book. I turned off the camera, or asked Teresa to actually, not Mike personally, but, and the sound, and just sat there and listened to it. It's the usual glad handing, and we did a great job, and this is how you got to talk to people, and actually I didn't hear anything that really in our particular district applies to us. You know, with the association, there are two, in my opinion, two large groups. The Red River Valley Group, and then what I call the Ramsey County, Minneapolis, Hennepin Group, you know, that's in there. They're kind of the, and we're on the northern edge here, and somehow I always feel we are never quite aligned with what their issues are. So that's basically what it was. It's, I don't know that anything at the legislature happened that was harmful, or because of the, I think, the situation with COVID. And as in the past, I've come to the conclusion after going to these meetings, many years, Madam President, we've gone to these meetings, that I really wonder if we need to invest $7,500 a year in this organization. That's because we are so close to the legislature, we can do our own things. And basically, when you get down to the message that's important that everyone was told was, you must work with your local legislators to have it achieved. And so that's what they were asking for, to work with your local legislator. And we do that, you know, we do that very well. And so that's the primary service that's offered. And, you know, I think sometimes we have conflicts with other organizations, and I'm not so sure that the lobbying at the Capitol has been so good. As you remember, our money has gone down. I mean, you know, we used to have competitive grant money, and now the check goes out the door to the soil and water conservation districts. And it's less and less for us all the time. That's all I have to report for that issue. That was enough. And I thank Teresa and staff for allowing me to come over and sit in a room for 2 hours to listen to that.
Thanks for observing that for us.
One last thing.
Go ahead.
Yes. Manager Marcy gave a presentation.
Oh,
Very
sure.
nice presentation. And, but I want to remind you that Manager Marcy is appointed by the governor, not by the Bowser or by the mod board, you know. So that's an important difference that be made. She doesn't work for them. She works for the governor.
Anything else, John?
No, I'm all done. Thank you.
Okay, and I have nothing new either. I just want to say that, you know, this was a fast meeting, but there's more issues to come. And I think that the employee situation, we are going to resolve as quick as we can get this done, so. Okay, with that, I'll entertain a motion to, oh, what I want to do, include here.
Madam President, I move we adjourn.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
My other meeting moved up to 11.
You got something for me, Steve?
Hey, I got something just for you. Hey, I get to keep one.
You get yours?
Make
Okay.
sure there's flat